Welcome. My name is Rio Olin with the St. Tammany Parish Government Public Information Office, and we're here today with Dr. Charles Preston, St. Tammany Parish Coroner, to talk a little bit about cribs for kids. Dr. Preston, how are you doing today?
I am loving life, and how about you, Rio?
I'm doing wonderful. Thanks for asking.
Great.
I know you guys have a little initiative going on over there right now. It's the Cribs for Kids, and we're helping every baby sleep a little safer here in St. Tammany Parish. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Absolutely. I'm very happy to do that. You know, most people think of the coroner's office as death investigation, but we actually have much broader responsibilities in terms of mental health intervention, a DNA lab, and also life safety initiatives. So we've lectured before on pool safety, on safe sleep environments, and that's what we want to talk about today is providing a safe sleep environment. St. Tammany Parish Coroner's Office is happy to introduce a program called Cribs for Kids, and it involves an educational session for new mothers or expectant mothers or grandmothers, grandfathers, caretakers, anybody that will watch an infant to try and make sure that they have a safe place to sleep. 3,500 infants under the age of 1 died last year, and the vast majority, over 80%, were due to unsafe sleep environments. And so in conjunction with our education and outreach coordinator, Chris Knobloch, we've developed a program called Cribs for Kids to educate folks, and we're seeking donations to buy the cribs. A crib is $50 a piece. We can't use taxpayer money for that, but we've had a very good start, and so we have a number of cribs on hand, and we are in business teaching and providing those safe sleep environments to try and prevent one of the most tragic situations you can ever encounter is when an infant dies.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's preventable.
Yeah, well, we are so fortunate to have you here today to share a little information with us about what we can do to be a little better going forward. And when we return, we're going to talk to Chris Knobloch from the Coroner's Office about Cribs for Kids and the importance of this program in St. Tammany Parish.
Hello, I'm Dr. Chuck Preston, the St. Tammany Parish Coroner. Far too often, our office has to respond to the scene of an infant that has died secondary to unsafe sleep environment. Our program, in conjunction with the National Cribs for Kids program, is bringing you an educational opportunity to help prevent this most horrible tragedy. No child should ever predecease a parent, and we hope to give you the tools to prevent that tragedy from happening to your family.
Well, as an investigator, and I think I speak for all investigators, that every time we have a tragic death of an infant that's preventable in nature, we would like to prevent that at all costs. So everyone's invited. We really look forward to giving this class to not only expectant parents, new parents, but also to grandparents, caregivers, neighbors, friends, daycare workers, first responders. Anybody is welcome to attend these classes to gain this knowledge, as well as providing a safe sleeping platform in the form of a Graco pack and play to the parents so that baby has a safe place to sleep.
If you're a new mom or an expecting mom, I highly recommend you take this course. Huge thank you to the St. Tammany Parish Coroner's Office for providing the education.
To learn more about the Cribs for Kids program or to donate, please visit stpcoroner.org.
On behalf of the entire team here at the St. Tammany Parish Coroner's Office, we want to thank you for your support. We cannot succeed without the community support.
Welcome back. We are here with the St. Tammany Parish Coroner's Office Forensic Death Investigator and Training Coordinator, Chris Knobloch. Chris, that is an impressive title you have there, man.
It is, I guess.
So we're talking to Dr. Preston a little earlier about the Cribs for Kids and what that is, and you're here today to tell us a little bit about how that can help us in St. Tammany Parish. And I know one thing I've seen a lot lately is the sudden infant death syndrome. Can you tell me a little bit about that and what that is?
Sure. I think that's a great question because we have used the term sudden infant death syndrome for years and years, and that's been kind of a blanket diagnosis in years past for any child that died in their sleep under the age of 1. But what we found through investigation, through taking a look at all the medical information we have on that subject, that most of these things are explainable. Sudden infant death, I think the biggest thing to bring out about that is that it's an unexplainable death. So it's the very last diagnosis we use anymore for trying to explain or classify or certify the death of a child under the age of 1. So what we try to talk a little bit more about now is sudden unexpected infant death. And sudden unexpected infant death is what we see most of the time in the field as far as being a death investigator. So sudden unexpected infant death, we find that about 70% of that is caused, is actually explainable, and we explain that by investigating and finding out that it was related to safe sleep or unsafe sleeping environment or unsafe sleeping conditions for children under the age of 1.
So a lot of what you see is when an infant passes away, and it's something that we don't know what happened. We're not sure exactly how it happened. We're finding that it's oftentimes related to the sleeping environment. Is that?
That's correct. We found that in about 70% of the cases, and there's about 3,500 cases nationwide of infant deaths each year that are explainable. Again, a true SIDS case is unexplainable. But a sudden unexpected infant death, we can usually narrow that down to being some sort of sleep-related tragedy, that being either related to the conditions that the child was sleeping in or just the environment in general where the child was sleeping.
Okay, so it seems to me if the environment in which the child is sleeping seems to be something that can be maybe more dangerous than what we would expect, what are some basic guidelines that we can use to create a safe sleeping environment for the children?
Okay, we'd like to talk about in our course, and the Cribs for Kids, the way it works is expectant parents, grandparents, anybody that's going to be a caregiver for the child can come in and take about a 1-hour course on the science of safe sleep. When the parents are involved, at that point, after they pass the course, they sign up, we give them a crib. We provide them with a crib for their child. That's a safe sleeping environment for the child. But during that education period, we try to stress things like the ABCs of safe sleep, for instance. Babies should be alone, they should be on their back, and they should be in their crib.
Okay, so you're saying, wait, alone and on their back?
Correct.
In their crib. Okay, see, my mom always told me a baby should be on their stomach, but this is so... Okay. What's the difference between your stomach and your back?
That's a great question, and I'm glad you brought that up because it's one of the key points in our presentation. If you look at the science of safe sleep, and I've got a slide I think you'll see that's called Back in the Day. And so back in the day when we were kids, we slept, where did we sleep? We slept everywhere, and when we were in the car, we slept on the back window of the back of the car by the back window. Yeah, if you were
too loud, maybe on top of the car.
Right. We rode around in the back of cars. We weren't seat belted. We had what would be described as inferior child safety seats back then. So over the last years, we found out that this isn't the way to go. That it's safer. Now we have very specific car seats for children. That's just one example. And safe sleep is the same. Mom always said, put that baby on his stomach so that the baby throws up. That will go out on the crib or out on the sheets, and the baby won't aspirate or breathe that substance in. Well, if you look at the science shows us exactly the opposite. So if a baby is positioned on his or her stomach, by gravity, that's going to pull, when the child throws up, that gravity is going to pull that down and back into the windpipe and down into the lungs. So by sleeping on the back, that's whatever that baby throws up is going to automatically, anatomically, is going to go back into the baby's stomach. And that's kind of where what is one of the big concepts, one of the misconceptions, I guess, and one of the family type cultures that we have to change. And that's one of the things that this program is geared towards, trying to get people to start thinking about, hey, that we don't do things the same that we used to, and safe sleep is just one example of that.
Awesome. Well, so I was looking earlier through a little bit of the curriculum, and one thing that I saw that kind of surprised me, because I think we all know that cigarette smoking is not healthy for us, but I don't think people maybe are paying enough attention to how that affects children that are around them. And I saw that's part of your curriculum. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, I think what's important to realize about that, and we're going to step back a little bit back to SIDS, because SIDS, again, is the unexplainable phenomenon that that we diagnose it at the very last possible diagnosis we make. If you look at the CDC, they've been for years taking up statistics about these types of death, infants under the age of 1. And what they found is that infants who are exposed to smoke in utero, or when the mother is pregnant, if the mother is smoking, they're about 2 times as likely to have an event, a SIDS event, than a child who was not exposed in the womb to cigarette smoke. The interesting part is that when that baby is born, if that baby is exposed to secondhand or thirdhand smoke, that goes to 3 times the probability that child will be involved in some type of a SIDS event. So it's very important to remember, for instance, when I mentioned secondhand smoke, that we know that secondhand smoke is floating around in the air, but thirdhand smoke a lot of people don't think about, and that's the chemicals that get on your clothes. So if you've got chemicals on your clothes from smoking, you put that baby against your clothes, the baby is being exposed to those chemicals, and that increases their risk for SIDS, a SIDS event.
So when you're smoking in a car, or when you're smoking at home, it's not even necessarily the smoking around the child so much as just having the cigarette smoke present on your clothing or on a couch or near
Everywhere.
a crib, anywhere. It can be a problematic for the child.
That's correct.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah. And you know, we're talking about 3 times. That's considerable risk factor.
Okay, well, I want to go back to what we were talking about a second ago when you were saying infants should be sleeping on their stomachs and not their backs, because I'm really hanging on to this.
It's actually on their back and not their stomach.
On the back, not
Right,
the stomach.
correct.
And, well, see, this is problematic for me because this is what my mom always told me. You know, always stomach, never back. Is there ever a time where the child should be sleeping on their stomach instead?
Well, there's never a time that the child should be sleeping on their stomach, but we do have tummy time, and we talk about tummy time a lot in the program. It's time that you spend on the floor with the baby's on their stomach. It gives that baby the ability to develop their muscles, to raise their head, to push their arms, to get an idea of the world around them. It's part of their developmental stage, and so the more time they do on their tummy with you monitoring them during tummy time, the faster they develop and the stronger they get, and the more able they are to save themselves if they were ever in a compromising position for their airway.
So there's appropriate times for a child to be on their stomach.
Oh,
Sleeping
absolutely.
is just not one of them.
Right, and that time is tummy. We call it tummy time, and it's very important from probably the development of the child. The developmental aspects are very important.
Well, I think the information that you're putting out is important for all of us. I'm not a father currently, but when I watch my niece or my nephew, you know, we're putting them to sleep, it's important, I think, for everyone to know this information. So for people at home who are parents or not, or whoever just want to get involved and partner up with this program, what are ways that they can get involved to be a part of this?
Well, it's great. I think I want to expand one more thing, if I could, if you don't mind, on the ABCs.
Please,
before we
please.
answer that question.
Yeah, sure.
The ABCs of safe sleep is what we stressed during our presentation. Is that the baby should be alone. What we find in a lot of cases is that the baby is in bed, co-sleeping with an adult. At some point, either the covers compromise that baby's airway, or somebody rolls over on top. And you have to remember that it's not just the airway up here, but a baby has to be able to expand and contract its chest in order to breathe. So if that ability is compromised, then we have a potential tragedy unfolding. So what I really want to stress is that a baby should be alone on their back, like we talked about, and in their very own crib. And that's part of the great part about the Cribs for Kids program, is that sometimes parents don't realize the importance, or they don't have the funds to get a safe sleeping environment for their child. So we provide them with that platform at the end of the class, and they have a safe sleeping place where the baby can sleep alone. When we talk about alone, I guess not just parents, but a baby should be in a crib with just a fitted sheet. We don't want pillows, bumpers, like the fancy stuff that we see, in a fancy nursery, because all those things can compromise that baby's ability to breathe. So they need to be on a firm surface, and nothing else in the crib besides the baby and whatever they're wearing.
Well, I think that's an important point to make, precisely for what I was just saying about, not being a parent and not having a child. So when you get a baby, when my wife and I get the opportunity to look after a baby, you're so excited, you want to spend every second you can with them, and some of that is sleeping with the baby. So that's an important thing for everybody to know. Right.
I think culturally people have always wanted to sleep with the kids, and that's, I can see where people find that soothing, people find that as a bonding, but it's just too unsafe. You know, and if you want to bond with the baby, the time to bond with the baby is that tummy time. Get down on the ground with the baby, watch the baby develop, watch for those milestones that come along that we all look for, and it's going to be a much better bonding experience and avoid a tragedy from happening at all.
And it's rewarding for the baby as well as for you spending that time and bonding with them. So.
Right. They're noticing things. They're finding their hands. They're noticing they can push themselves up, that they can raise their head, and all those things developmentally are the things that could save that baby if their airway was ever compromised. You know, an infant that doesn't have the ability to move their head, if they get into a position where their airway is compromised, maybe under some covers or under a pillow or under an adult or another child, for instance, then they don't have the ability to save themselves. So all these developmental milestones of being able to lift their head and look around are also helpful for helping them save themselves and avoid a tragic consequence.
Well, Chris, I find this to be critical information for all of us to know. So, so where can we go to learn more and to partner up with you guys?
Well, I think that anyone who's interested in taking this is an education program that's really geared for anyone who's going to be caring for an infant. So it's not just moms and dads, it's grandparents, it's babysitters, it's siblings, it's anybody who's going to be providing care for that child while they're sleeping. So we welcome anyone to come to the coroner's office and take the 1-hour training program. The expectant parents, of course, are the only ones that are going to receive a crib through the Cribs for Kids program. But what's so important is getting everybody trained and everybody educated to place a child in a safe sleeping environment, so that there's no tragedy when the parents go out to eat and they leave somebody next door for an hour.
Absolutely.
And I think that's important. This stuff happens fast, and so if you put a baby down for even an hour, I mean, the potential is there for an unsafe sleep disaster, and so we want everybody to be involved.
Sure. And do you guys have like a website or a phone number that people can get to?
You can call us at 985-781-1150 and ask for Chris, and I'll register you for the next available class. We do 2 classes a month for parents. We do on the second Thursday of every month, we're going to do a class in the daytime at 10:30 in the morning. And then the fourth Thursday of every month, we're going to do an evening class at 6:30 at night to help folks that are working during the day and can't get there. So we have 2 parental classes, and we usually do a third class on a Tuesday, and that's for grandparents, caregivers, babysitters, and so on. So anybody is welcome to those classes as well.
Great. Well, Chris, thank you for coming out. We appreciate your time. You'll be seeing me and my wife there in one of your evening classes soon, so
All right. Well,
we really
great.
appreciate it.
Yeah, if I would say, you know, if you or anybody out there knows someone who is expecting, please refer them to us and let them know that this is a really important issue. It's a life-saving initiative that we're doing here at the coroner's office, and we really welcome them to come out and be a part of this training program.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Thank you so much.
All righty. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.